All right, continuing with our update, I've put the rudder back in place as well as both elevator halves. What I need to do now is I need to determine the exact exit points in the fuselage for the pull-pull because the elevators use pull-pull as do the rudder. So we need to make sure that the pull-pull exit points are in such a spot so that they don't conflict with each other. They're pretty close in height, as you can see, but not that close, so we'll be able to manage, and those wires won't get in the way of each other. Now the other piece has to do with the servo arms. So these are Savox servos. I've never used them before, but the amount of torque that they put out is massive. And they're literally putting out almost 700 ounces of torque, which is unheard of in a standard size servo. Now these arms are very long. As a matter of fact, to give you a perspective of how long they are, they're metric. Everything's metric with Savox. And let me go ahead and you can see as we put it up against the ruler here, they are approximately about 86 millimeters long. Now the hole spacing per the designer only needs to be 60 millimeters between the ball links. So that puts it right around about the third hole from the center. Now these are definitely not tapped for 440. They'll need to be drilled and tapped for 440. But the issue, as you can see, when I just drop this arm on top of here, because right now I just have a simple plastic arm on there. We do have the full length arm already attached on the rudder servo. These two here are the elevator servo, that's the rudder servo. You can clearly see that the arms would hit each other. But if we cut them down in length, it won't be an issue at all. Now, the spacing for the elevator, 25 millimeters on each side. So 25 out this way, 25 out this way. So anyway, the long and the short of it is these arms are what you're gonna have to use. See, when you get the Savox servos, you only get this really long servo, and then these short plastic, they really need something in between. And it's not easy to find these arms for Savox servos because I guess they're so new. Personally, I would prefer high-tech or JR or Spectrum, but I thought I'd give these a try. Anyway, so that's where we are right now. We need to cut down the servos, do a drill and tap, and then get some exit points going for the pull-pull. And you can see we've got lots of cavernous space in the back there. I mean, I can fit my whole arm in there without any problem whatsoever and still have plenty of room. Put a small child in here. So, more to come. All right, continuing with our update, you can see how, whoops, here we go. You can see how we went through and we cut down the arm. I only needed 3 holes, 1, 2, 3. The extra hole out there is just a little extra on the arm. But you can see right there on the 3rd hole how we've tapped it for 440, drilled it and tapped it for 440. We've drilled and tapped the stock arm as well, and now we're going to cut that down. So, if you're doing the plane, you have the Savox servos. The 3rd hole out is where the ball link is going to go, and you can see how we have it here on this particular servo. All right, more to come. All right, continuing with our update here on the Air Sea Race Pond Racer. What we did is we fixed the problem that we had with the servo arms. You could see these were banging into each other, but then I reached out to the designer, and he said, well, you don't need to put it 3 holes out. So in other words, it would be the 3rd hole out from the center is what he recommended, which was 60 millimeters. He said you can go in 1 additional hole, which I did, and I switched from the 440 rod, a 440 screw that came with the SWB, and switched to the Dubro ball links, which have a 256 screw here, but they use 440 rods here. And what that did meant I could tap the hole that much smaller, which meant there was less likely, the hole was less likely to crack or anything of that nature upon the stress. Anyway, the long and the short of it is I was able to shorten the arms on all 3 of the servos, as you can see. and you can just clearly see they're not going to hit. Plus, Michael had a great idea. Michael, the owner of Air Sea Race, said if you take these ball links for the rudder servo and put the lock nut on the top and the socket head on the bottom, that will also prevent these arms from running into each other. And it's perfect. It works great. So now we're going to go ahead. The next step is we need to determine the exit point back here for the rudder. I'm guesstimating it's going to be right about here. I need to do some more measuring and, of course, make sure it's in line with that rudder control horn. And then we'll also drill the holes for the exit points for the elevator, because this uses a pull for the elevator. And more to come.